Movie buffs, welcome back to the Movie Bay. This is D. In today's video, we're going to do another movie battle. The last movie battle I did was a few months ago, and it was Tombstone versus Wyatt Earp. If you want to go ahead and check that one out, you can. Today I have a three-way battle between three movies that are very similar. Let's take a look. Armageddon, Deep Impact, and The Core. Now, the similarities with these movies is all three of these movies are basically about Earth's destruction, and human beings are actually in a position to stop the Earth from being destroyed. So that's the similarity. All three of these movies are about something disastrous happening to the entire planet, not just one country, and humans have the ability to stop the disaster. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the movies as they came out. In this bunch, Armageddon was the first one released, and this came out in 1997. It's a Michael Bay production. You can tell with just the music, the effects, the CG, the action sequences in here. You can definitely tell this is a Michael Bay film. But you got a good cast in here. Just like all three of these films, you have excellent cast in all three. Armageddon probably got the most noteworthy cast because they starred Bruce Willis, and at that time Bruce Willis was really hot. So you got Bruce Willis, Ben Affleck, Liv Tyler, who's the daughter of Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. You got Michael Clarke Duncan, Steve Buscemi, just to name a few. You have a really solid cast in this movie. And that's, so 1997, and we went over the cast. Next up is Deep Impact. Deep Impact came out in 1998. You have, let me see here, you got Elijah Wood, Robert Duvall, Morgan Freeman, and a pretty good cast of others. The Core came out in 2003, so this is Johnny Come Lately. This is 6 years after the first movie, so they had enough time to really get a few things together. So in this one, you're going to have a cast of Hilary Swank, you're going to have Delroy Lindo, Aaron Eckhart, and a host of others. A really good, solid cast in this movie as well. So now that we got that out the way, the release year and the cast, let's go ahead and take a look at. For right now, we're just going to take a look at the two that came out first. Deep Impact versus Armageddon. So, right off the back, I will tell you in this movie battle that if you're looking for action, Armageddon is your pick. If you're looking for a good story with a good story arc for each character, they do a really good job with character development in this. You almost feel connected to the characters in Deep Impact. There's a lot of background going on with the characters. I like how each character before the final mission, they talk to their families, similar to what happens in Armageddon, but Deep Impact, you just feel more connected to the characters. Elijah Wood's character, he's a main character, but he's not an astronaut aboard the Messiah, which is the ship that they're going to use to travel to a meteor to try to blow it up. It actually failed. Their mission failed. And one meteor did hit Earth, and it caused a lot of destruction. Without giving you a lot of the movie, this movie is old, so I can give all kinds of spoilers and stuff, which I will. The first meteor did hit. The second one was destroyed, but it was a sacrificial destruction. The Messiah did not survive the finale, if you would. Elijah Wood character was in love with one of his neighbors, and it was a lottery system for survivors to go into like this underground network that the United States and other countries had their own underground networks, bunkers, and arcs, they called them, I do believe, and underground tunnels. The president and all the Joint Chiefs and everybody was down there, and it really showed a side of what happened on the ground. This movie showed what happened in space and what happened on the ground. This one was a more complete story. That's why I said this one had the better story and also the better story arc for each character, because it showed how a lot of people would die if that happened, because the military was really not allowing people to get anywhere near these arcs or these underground tunnels. It was really sad. This movie had a lot more. It was a lot more emotions involved with this because you felt more connected to the characters and the struggle of humanity. You really felt connected to that in this film. So for me, as far as the story goes, I'm going to have to go ahead and give it the Deep Impact for story. Now, I'm going to take a look at Armageddon. Armageddon had more action, of course, it's being a Michael Bay film. You felt connected to the characters, but not all of them. You felt really connected to Bruce Willis' character and Ben Affleck character. You didn't really... You may have felt a little connection to the Billy Bob Thornton character as well, but that's probably it. You didn't really feel connected to the other characters like you did in, say, a Deep Impact. The president was anonymous. You didn't really see, where in this one, the president, you saw him a couple of times, played by Morgan Freeman. But this movie was really good. This really focused more on the space side of the movie, where Deep Impact kind of focused on both. You saw... It kept going back in between, but I think if you really look at it, Deep Impact focused more on what the people was going through preparing for Armageddon. But Armageddon was good. A lot of action. Great cast, again. But again, if you're looking for a movie where you're going to feel more connected to the cast and what they was going through, Deep Impact is probably your movie. But this one was phenomenal, especially the end with Bruce Willis. Because that connection to Bruce Willis, and at the time, he was so famous and so well loved, to see him die at the end of this movie, it was a tearjerker. This movie was a tearjerker. Deep Impact had the emotional side. It had a tear-jerking moment, especially the moment on the beach where the father and daughter both kind of hugged each other and they kind of got washed away by a really humongous tide. Then her mother committed suicide. This had a lot of emotional moments to it, where this one, the only really truly emotional moment is at the very end of the movie when Bruce Willis kills himself to save the crew and the planet. So, again, better action, bigger budget, but the story is going to go to Deep Impact. Now we're going to take a look at the core. The core, okay, I'm sorry, let's go back to Armageddon real quick. So in Deep Impact, the ship that they used for the mission was called the Messiah. In Armageddon, they used two ships. One was called the Liberty and one was called the Freedom. They was experimental spacecrafts co-developed by the Russian space program and the American space program, NASA. Now here, in the core, they took it a little bit different. So in the core, it wasn't a disaster coming to the Earth. It was a disaster within the Earth. So in other words, something happened to the Earth's core where the Earth actually stopped rotating. And it broke down the gravitational field around, the magnetic field around the Earth. So that magnetic field keep a lot of things in play that we can't see. So it was causing severe weather anomalies, EMP strikes, if that make any sense. It was just doing a lot of crazy things. Birds was dying, planes was crashing, and it was getting worse and worse as time went on. So what happened was, Aaron Eckhart went before I guess he went before the Joint Chiefs to plead his case, and there was another scientist there, and they kind of went in together. Then the military, they went to find a scientist, Delroy Lindo, who was working on an experimental laser that could actually fire and just bust through mountains without a problem. And they needed a shell for the ship because, remember, this ship was going to the center of the Earth, going down to the Earth's core. See, in here, they was going down into the Earth. So they needed a ship that could withstand the temperatures, and they needed a drill that could actually drill down that far. So you couldn't use a conventional drill. So they used lasers. So Delroy Lindo, he put together a ship called the Virgil, and the ship was made out of this material called, he called it unobtainium, and I don't know why he called it unobtainium. Unobtainium. I'm assuming he did that because it was just unobtainable to him at the time because he was a poor scientist. But the military came in, they financed the whole thing, of course, to save the Earth. Virgil was supposed to be, it was going to take 10 years for him to put the Virgil ship together. The military wanted it put together in 3 months. So he said he needed a check for $50 billion. They asked him, did he want, check or cash or credit, whatever. And they put the ship together. They launched it. They did a sea launch where they launched Virgil from the sea. It drilled straight down. The lasers, they had front lasers and bilateral lasers. It was an awesome, awesome movie. Very unique idea compared to the first two. All three of these movies had the same thing in common. It involved delivering a nuclear payload to destroy the threat. In Deep Impact, the Messiah was to fire nuclear missiles. Armageddon, they was to land on the surface of the asteroids, drill and drop nuclear ordnance into a hole to blow it up from within. In the core, they was to deliver a precise, it had to be precise, because remember, their nuclear payload was inside the Earth, so any miscalculations would have been disastrous. So they had to deliver a very precise nuclear payload to hit the core at the right spot to restart the Earth's core and get it spinning again. So out of originality, original idea, I'm going to go ahead and give it to the core. I think the core was a very, very original take on the end of Earth destruction type movies. So for just the story idea, the best idea is going to go to the core. I'm going to give Armageddon the best action nod. I'm going to give Deep Impact the best overall story, the best overall experience. I'm going to have to give it to Deep Impact because it just really evoked a lot of emotions. It was a full, complete movie, if you would. Not to say the other two wasn't. It really focused on the space side and the Earth side, what was going on down here. Where Armageddon didn't focus too much on what was going on down here. You pretty much knew what was going on down here, pandemonium. In the core, it didn't really focus on what was going on above the surface. It really stayed down. So I'm going to give the best out of this particular movie battle. I am going to give the movie battle win for this end of Earth destruction type of Armageddon experience movie, if that's what you want to call it. I'm going to give the win to Deep Impact. And the reason why is because it's got the most rounded story. And I think you would enjoy Deep Impact if you saw it now. When you watch Deep Impact, even though Deep Impact came out a year after Armageddon, Armageddon looks better. Again, we know why Armageddon looked better. Armageddon had a much bigger budget. It had Michael Bay. It had beautiful set pieces. It had a lot of effects. So when you look at the two, Deep Impact is going to look like it came out 5 years before Armageddon. But actually, in all actuality, it was just a year difference between the two. So when you look at them, I think you're going to be more pleased with Armageddon. But if you're looking for a really great story, go with Deep Impact. And the core. The core is definitely, I'm not even going to say the core is third in this. I would actually, me personally, as far as the story and character development goes, I would give the core number 2. I would put the core for story. I would put the core right behind Deep Impact. So for me, my picks is going to be Deep Impact, the core, and then Armageddon. And the only reason why Armageddon is pulling up third is not because Armageddon wasn't a good movie. Armageddon was very focused on what was going on in space, and it was good, but it had some moments that, to me, slowed the pacing down. With Deep Impact, didn't really have a lot of moments that slowed the pacing down because it wasn't a fast-paced movie to begin with. And the core, it just kept on going. It had a couple of moments where the pacing slowed, but the pacing slowed for good reasons. There was a character death coming up in those moments where the movie actually slowed down, then it picked back up. So you can't go wrong with all 3 of these movies. I will highly, highly, highly recommend all 3 of these. There's no loser. There's just winners that go in different phases. So 1, 2, 3, they're all winners. There's no losers. You can't go wrong. I'm quite sure if you're watching my videos, you've seen at least 2 of these. The one that you probably didn't see was the core. The core also made my list of movies that people hated, and I'm not sure why people hated the core. It's an excellent, excellent movie. If you saw Armageddon and you saw Deep Impact, you may not even seen Deep Impact. I mean, I know you've seen Armageddon, but if you didn't see Deep Impact, watch Deep Impact. And if you didn't see the core, see the core. All of these movies, as you can see, I have them on DVD. All of these are available on Blu-ray if that's your preference. But if you want these on DVD, you can find them dirt cheap at your local mom and pop store. There is a really nice enhanced Criterion version of Armageddon on DVD. The transfer is amazing. The extra features are great. That's what I know so far. And this is D. This is a movie battle. This is like, I'm going to title the video End of Earth movies. So Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.